Hey, what's up? I'm Tim Seay with Decorative Concrete Virginia, and I'm here with the Concrete Network. And today we're going to talk about the one main issue that people have when they're acid staining concrete. And the solution to that issue is actually going to save you an entire day of labor too. So it's a good one. Anyways, let's get into it. So when I did my very first acid stain project, I actually did it at my parents' house in their garage. So we cut a diamond pattern into the floor and we hand stained each square a different color. And when I went back the next day to wash off the acid stain, like all the stain washed away and it was still gray, like a good part of it was still gray. So my solution was to stain it again. So I stained the whole thing again and I washed it again the next day, and again, it still had gray spots in it. So I called the manufacturer and said, hey, what's going on? Why is the concrete still gray? And he said, well, you need to scrub it in with a brush. So the next job we did, we stained the concrete like we were supposed to, and we took a broom and tried to scrub it in like they told us to do. But the problem now is that you could see broom marks through the whole floor. So I guess I should back up and kind of explain like the root of the problem before I get into what we figured out on how to fix it. So the issue with staining really slick concrete is that the concrete sometimes is so dense that the stain actually won't penetrate it. It just sits on top and dries. So when an acid stain sits on top of the concrete and dries, it doesn't actually color the concrete. So the idea of brooming the stain is if you broom it, it will force the stain into the concrete. But that's not good because that's not a desirable look either, to have broom marks all over the basement floor. But what we needed to do was to figure out a way to open up the concrete to allow the stain to penetrate that would keep us from having to use a broom and still allow the concrete stain to like soak into it so that it will actually color the floor. So we tried a few things at the shop, and the thing that we realized was that if you sand the concrete before you apply the stain, it would allow the stain to penetrate concrete even when it's really slick. And the way you do this is with a swing buffer with a sanding screen on it. Okay, so this is the buffer. This brush is not actually a brush, it's the driver for the buffer pad. So you have the buffer driver, then you put a buffer pad on first, and then below the buffer pad you put the sanding screen. Now buffers are really made to be used with water, they're not really meant to be used dry. So you need to order a dust route for your buffer. I'll leave a link below showing you where I got mine. Anyways, this is a really simple process. You just turn the buffer on with the sanding screen under it and you sand the whole floor. And as an added bonus to this allows you to clean the concrete without using any water. That's actually a pretty big deal because typically you would go and wash the concrete first, but you'd have to wait for the water to dry before you can actually apply the stain. So a lot of times that means you're going to wash the concrete one day and then go home and come back the next day to stain the concrete. So this method actually saves you an entire day, an entire trip to the job site too. So the whole job will be done quicker. Once the floor is sanded, you just vacuum up the dust and you're ready to spray your acid stain. Once you spray your acid stain, you don't brush it, you just spray it, walk away from it, come back the next day and finish up the job. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, it would be a big help to us if you hit the like button below. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, hit the subscribe button down below. And if you want to learn more about me or my YouTube channel or my concrete business, check the description below and I'll leave a link for more info. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.